Hi guys, welcome to my channel. It's a girl Helen. How was the Easter holidays? I hope you spent it well. For me, I had to work and I got a cold at some point and I had to sit at home. This is the part 2 of my last video. Like I promised, I didn't want to make it too long, and like you will tell from this video, you see that there are so many points that I had to touch. This is a continuation of my last video, that is tips for your nursing practical exam in Germany, day 2. If you want to catch up with day 1, the link is up here. And of course, if you want to catch up with the part 1 of this video, and the link is up here as well. In general, you could say that this video has 3 parts, and this is the last part of it. Just a small note, I'm making this video with natural light and the sun keeps going up and down today. Please understand, and I'm going to try as much as possible to see if I can adjust the brightness so it will be perfect for you guys. Before I continue, I want to say a huge thank you to my 404 subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, I don't know why you haven't subscribed. Please, subscription is free. Subscribe and let us grow together, okay? Please make sure to share this video, drop a comment, and like this video. Right. Tip number 21, Thema Patientensicherheit. Does the patient have his or her own shoes? How tight are these shoes? Does he need an anti-reach socken? Did you show your patients how he or she can reach for help if they need to call the nurse? Is the patenting clinic close to them, or do they have to stretch to reach for reach, which can also cause them to fall out of the bed? How about Bettgitter? Is a patient unruhig and needs the Bettgitter hook? Do you know what you're supposed to do there? How are you supposed to secure your patient from falling? What about the Betthöhe? Well, at school and during the praxis, you are advised to always carry out a Rückenchen in the Arbeit. But at the same time, you're also supposed to think about your patients as well. So as much as you're thinking about your own security, you're also supposed to think about the patient's security. Now, where am I heading to with this? Through your patenting Versorgung, it is likely that you might forget something. Klar, you did everything you could, you prepared everything, but it's likely that you might forget something. We're all humans. So please ensure to bring the bed at its normal position. You don't want the patient to fall out of the bed when you leave the room. We don't want that. This brings me to number 22, Privatheit. Now, in case you're doing your Körperpflege and you forgot something, you have to go out and get something, and your patient is lying there naked, please make sure to cover your patient before leaving the room. In a case where you have to leave the room during your Körperpflege because you forgot something, please cover your patient. Do not leave your patient lying there in bed naked. If you're doing your Körperpflege in the room and your patient is with other patients, like he's not alone, he or she is not alone in the room, please make sure to use a room divider. That way, it shows your patient that and your prüfer that you recognizes and cherishes your patient's privacy. If your Körperpflege is in the bathroom, please shut the door. And generally, before the Körperpflege, now it doesn't matter where, ask the patient if it's okay for your prüfer to be around. Now, in my case, I had a man and a woman. They were my examiners. And of course, I forgot to ask. And I got asked that during the reflection why. I had to defend it, which I did. So please ask your patient if it's okay for the prüfer, if it's a man or a woman, that is the opposite sex, if they're allowed to be around during the Körperpflege, okay? That would be nice. Now, another thing that counts as privacy, which people usually ignore, are stuff like Patenten-Nachtschrank or the Nachttisch, Patentenschrank selbst, or the Patententasche. Make sure you ask the patient before you touch their stuff. It is also their private stuff. As long as they're in the hospital, that bed and that Nachtschrank is the only thing they have, and their wardrobe is theirs. It belongs to them at that point. So please ask them. It is their privacy. It's like you're invading their privacy. It's like entering the room without asking them. So ask the patient if it's okay for you to touch their stuff. Do not just touch their stuff. It's not okay. Even if you do it in the praxis, please do it in the exam. We're talking about exam now. Never do it. It's not cool. Okay? Number 23, Thema Aufregung. Now, do you know that your proofer is also aufgeregt? On my day, my proofer, I was his first proofling. And you can imagine how, how aufgeregt he was. So, yeah, the proofer, don't be surprised, the proofer are also aufgeregt. Now, also your patient is also aufgeregt. Your patient doesn't want to fail you. He doesn't want to do anything that will make you fail. So he might start asking some unusual questions. So please try and cool your patient down. Let him know that he's doing well. And you as well, try also to calm down, like I already mentioned in in part one. Okay. Tip number 24. Ökonomische Arbeiten. Now, this is a very, very tricky tema. It is tricky because you're tensed. You don't want to disinfect the hand too much, and you don't want to use too much handshae. And in that case, because you don't want to use too much handshae, you use less handshae, and you use that way you use your hands where you're supposed to use handshoes, or you don't disinfect your hand where you're supposed to disinfect your hand. So just know that you need to do the things, everything in the right proportion. Knowing and memorizing the 5 indications of hand disinfection will help guide you in this case. So please know that, memorize that, and know that your health is also important and it comes first. Number 25. Do not lose focus on your formulated Pflege Probleme or Maßnahmen. If time allows it, make sure you apply all the Maßnahmen that you formed. Stuff you shouldn't forget also includes your Anleitung, your Beratung, your Motivation, also Patientenmotivation. And you don't have to focus all this aforementioned like Anleitung, Beratung on just your Hauptpatient. Okay? There are other pflegerische Schwerpunkte that you can also show that are not on your patient, on your Hauptpatient, but are also on the other patient. Now, something might come up and your Ablauf might have to go anders as geplant. You should be able to improvise, do some of your Anleitungen and Beratung on your other patient and not just your Hauptpatient. Number 26. Toilettengang anbieten. Now, some patients go to toilet immediately they wake up. Some people go after meal. Some people go before meal. It depends. We all have our own rhythm, how our body works, and how we've been doing our shit the whole day or the previous day. Or for your patient to go to the toilet. Maybe they're one of those patients that takes the dump before eating or as soon as they wake up. You don't know when they take theirs. It is good to offer because you don't want a situation where where you took care of patient, you washed the patient, put on a nice clothing, and then everything in bed. It can happen even in case where the patient already went to toilet before that. That means something is already wrong with their stomach. But if nothing is wrong, but chances are that the patient won't go to toilet, or you don't have to clean up again after your Pflegedurchführung or after washing them. Tip number 27. Your copper Pflege should be done on just one patient. Like I mentioned, your Ablauf might change. Someone you delegated to take care of, wash the other patient, did not wash them, or anything could have happened, and you try to do both at once. Know that you just have to do your copper Pflege, show your copper Pflege once. The improver just want to see you do copper Pflege once, and they want to do, and then they want to see you do other stuff. During my Prüfung, I got thrown off balance and I tried to do Copper Pflege by 2 Patienten. So I did I planned on my hot patients, but something went wrong. The people I delegated it to did not do the other ones. So I felt bad that my other patients were not taken care of, were not washed. So I mobilized my other patient to the toilet because he was capable, he had the resources and was capable of taking care of himself. Yeah, and I did that. And by the time I knew what was happening, he wanted me to do some stuff, help him do some stuff, and I couldn't leave him alone. And I had to help him and finish the thing to the end and finish the cover flaker to the end. And while we were at it, time was ticking. And I had to finish up and then go back to my hub patient. And when I went there, I tried to wash him as well because, of course, he needs help. And I was so worried because I was on the clock. And I was so tense and I panicked. And then after I did the overcopper, my professor said, Helen, we haven't getting copper flake again. So as soon as she said that, I came back into reality. I'm like, shit, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. While I was watching the first patient that I watched, I tried to do Anleitung, I tried to do multitask, do Anleitung and Beratung while I was washing, helping him wash himself. And I tried to do that before I came to my hot patient. So that helped me a lot. I tried to I improvised a lot. So by the time by the time I was by the time I was by my hot patient, I ran out of time actually. And yeah, after the prophet jolted me into reality with that sentence, I realized, oh yeah, I am running out of my lane. I am going out of my actual plan. So I called myself back into order and I continued just like I planned it. And it worked out. Number 28, make sure you tidy up as soon as you're done and tidy up properly. Now, you don't want to put the water you use in washing your patient in the waschbecken. No. Put it in the toilet instead of the waschbecken. Flush it down the drain. And after you finish your copper Pflege, make sure you clean the waschbecken, you disinfect the waschbecken that your patient used. Shut the windows in the room if they stay open. And make sure that you dispose the materials that you used properly. Do not put the needle where you're supposed to put the glasses. Not cool. Number 29, entlassings management. Is it likely that your patient will get discharged on that day? Make sure you pack your patient stuff. Remove their Vigos or the peripheral venous catheter. If it's someone that lives alone, call the Angehörigen or the Pflegedienst and inform them that your patient is getting discharged, so your patient doesn't go home and sit outside. And not just that, make sure that everything is put in place so that your patient can probably be taken care of when he gets home. Number 30, make sure you thank your patient for their cooperation because it's not easy. Tip number 31, Thema Verbandswechsel. Make sure that your patient takes a pain medication before you start Verbandswechsel because Verbandswechsel can be painful, especially if your patient already has chronic Schmerzen. You're also supposed to know the different materials that are suitable for different kinds of wound. You learned that at school. Even if you forgot to make sure you research that. Especially if you already know from the previous day that your patient has wound. Make sure you research the right materials for that wound. Normally for Verbandswechsel, there's supposed to be an ärztliche Anordnung. Now, in some cases, the patient, there is no Anordnung. Sometimes at station, they just do Verbandswechsel. Now, make sure you get an ärztliche Anordnung because the doctor is supposed to tell you what kind of materials you're supposed to use for the Verbandswechsel and what kind of Desinfektionsmittel. So ask the doctor what you're supposed to use before you do your Verbandswechsel. That way, your prüfer also knows that you know that that Verbandswechsel needs an ärztliche Anordnung. If you need to go out during your Verbandswechsel because you forgot something, please make sure you cover the wound with sterile compression. Okay? Number 32. Do not forget to do a thorough Übergabe. Now, to do a thorough Übergabe, it requires that during your Pflegedurchführung, if there is something that came up, you should write it down. You should write notes so that you don't forget some things during Übergabe. Because sometimes after your Pflegedurchführung, you forget some stuff that you're supposed to tell your colleagues. But if you have them written down, you will not forget them. Tip number 33. If there is something you forgot to do, please do it as soon as you remember. And in a case where it is time bedingt and you couldn't do it anymore, please make sure you mention it during your Besprechung. That way they know that you did not forget it, that you know that this thing has to be done. And if you forgot to do it at the right time, but later did it, please make sure you mention why you did it later. Number 34, during your Besprechung, they're going to ask you what your weaknesses and your strengths are or where. Now, in this case, you should be able to know where you did well and where you did not do well. And this is a very, very good opportunity for you to tell them, in the case where you didn't do well, for you to tell them what you could have done better. That way, they also know that you know how to do it, just that you were tensed or that you forgot. So again, during the Besprechung, your 20 minutes Besprechung is time for you to gain so many points. Mention where you did well, where you did not do well, what you're supposed to do, what you could have done better, how you could have done it better, why you did not do it. Try to find a reason, try to find a concrete reason and not just some flimsy reason or excuse. Try to find a concrete reason, something that makes sense. Try to convince them that yes, we know this, you could have done this, but you didn't do it. That reason why you did that is supposed to be done like this, but you did it like this because of this. You gain so many points. Even if you haven't gained points from the other ones, you gain points there. And if you already gained points from your flaky dish room, you get more points on top of the ones you already have. Number 35. Some stations have gift craft that shares food. If you happen to be in that kind of station, make sure that your patient eats their food and takes their medication. I'm saying this because you might forget and you might be carried away because you think those people are going to drop the are going to give your patient food. No, most of them just drop the food, or they don't prepare the food mundgerecht for your patient. They don't break the food down, like break it down in such, prepare the food in such a way that your patient can be able to eat it. Assuming they are just patients that cannot due to a problem with their fine motoric or problem with their hands, they can no longer cut the bread themselves or slice the bread themselves. They need help with that. So in such cases, you need to make sure that your patient's food is mundgerechtlich prepared. Tip number 36, learn to prioritize. I don't have much to say here, but you all know what priority is. You know what's important and what's not, what should come before the other and what not. If your patient have pain already, you don't want to go during prophylaxis when your patient have pains. And you don't want to go having to wash your patient if he has to go for an Untersuchung. So know which one should come first. Tip number 37, which is the last tip for today. Do not ignore your patient's neighbors. Now it could be that your patient's room has 3 patients in it and you're in charge of just one of them. And it happens that one of them has a problem or one of them needs help during the Prüfung. You're not supposed to completely ignore them. Try to help them by informing another colleague that so patient needs something. And if it's an emergency, call for help. Do not ignore the patient completely, because that is a minus point as well. Because some of them do not understand that exam is going on and they think, oh yeah, this patient is getting washed and taken care of and I'm not. Tell them that it's a Prüfung, it's an exam, and that's why you cannot take care of them as well. So they don't know, they don't understand. So it's left for you to inform other colleagues or make them understand. So guys, this is where I come to the end of this video. If you haven't watched the part 1 of this video, please make sure you watch it. And also make sure to check out my video about the tips on day 1 of your nursing practical exam. In addition, also check out my video on the process of the nursing practical exam here in Germany. So yeah, if you haven't subscribed, please make sure to subscribe and give this video a huge thumbs up and also a comment, and do not forget to share amongst your friends. And thank you. I'm gonna see you in my next video. Bye.